Hi, and welcome to this week's video blog for Some Assembly Required. I'm Sarah Hammerker, and I'm glad you joined me. Today I'm going to answer a few questions that I've gotten from parents because I think that these are questions that a lot of parents have. So the first one, I'm just going to briefly read it real quick. Our 8-year-old son is seeing kids play graphic video games on the portable gaming devices. The most recent title was Call of Duty, with which we are familiar. The parent goes on to say that they talked to their son and told him how violent these games are and why he couldn't play them. And he should stick to things like Cooking Fever that the parents know is a good game. But the parent ends with, I think our explanation was too long and over his head, and they wanted some talking points to talk with an 8-year-old about why these games are inappropriate. Now, let's extrapolate a little bit because it's not just games, video games, that we have to tell our kids no for. It's the kid across the street whose parents let them stay up until 11 o'clock and they're in first grade. It's the fourth grader who has a smartphone. It's it's the other kids who are allowed to take M&Ms for lunch every day. I mean, there's always going to be a family, a child, your children or child comes in contact with that has values, that has different parenting decisions. So how will we navigate that? What kind of things can we do to help our children understand our decisions? Well, there's a couple of things that we can do. First of all, talking points are irrelevant. For this parent who wanted talking points, what he really wants is for his he wants to have a script that he can read. So his 8-year-old son will look at him and say, "Gee, Dad, when you put it that way, of course I know why I can't play Call of Duty." Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. So just stop that, trying to do that right now. If that is your point, if you just need to know what can you say, what magic words can you say to get your child to go, "Gee, Mom, when you say it that way, I understand why I can't have ice cream for lunch every day." It's not going to happen. Kids are illogical beings. They are never going to agree with our decisions. They are never going to understand our decisions. And that's okay. So first of all, when you make your decision and you want to tell your kid about it, don't worry about trying to get them to understand it. They are not going to understand it. They are just not. I will tell you really quick, if you have a child who just will not take no for an answer, you can sit down in your chair of despair, or not despair, your chair, in like your throne, your chair, and you say, "Okay, look at your watch or put a timer. You have 2 minutes. Give me all the reasons why you disagree. Go." And you listen and you go, yeah. If I was 8 years old, I would feel the same way if all my friends were playing that. Yeah, that's really tough. Just let them get it all out and then go, "Okay, I heard you out. My decision is still, you're not playing Call of Duty. We're not going to talk about this again. Let's go." Don't do that every time, but you can, a chair of wisdom, that's what it's called. You can allow your children occasionally a chance to unburden themselves, but don't get sucked into an argument with them. Right? You can let them unburden themselves, but don't get sucked into the argument. Okay, so we talk too much when we're trying to explain this to our kids, right? We talk too much. We want to give those magic things. So what are you supposed to do instead? How are you supposed to stick with it and help your child navigate this disappointment, this feeling of maybe he's feeling left out? When I was a child, one of the most popular shows on TV, I'm dating myself here, was Dukes of Hazzard. And my mom took one look at that show and Daisy Duke's shorts and said, "No daughter of mine, or son, if I'd had a brother my age, is going to watch that show." Because, and I swear, every day after the show aired, I think it was on Friday, so Monday morning, literally everyone in my class was talking about Dukes of Hazzard. This was like 4th or 5th grade, except for me. I could never participate because I didn't know who they were talking about. I mean, I may have picked up the names. If you listen enough, you can pick up the names, but I never saw an episode as a child. I never watched it. I didn't know. So yeah, I felt a little left out. But you know, that's the time when you give your kids permission to throw you under the bus as a parent. So I just said, my mom won't let me watch it. Well, she's really mean, my friend said. I said, well, yeah, I agree. That was unfair because everyone's watching it, but she won't let me watch it. I tell my kids, you can throw me under the bus for any decision I make anytime. You can say what a mean mom you have. Not going to bother me. You know why? Because I'm the grown up. I do not need my fourth graders' friends to think that I'm really cool. I don't need my 15-year-old, ninth graders, 15-year-old friends to think I'm really cool. It's okay. I can take it because I'm the grown up and I have to make those big decisions. I have to make unpopular decisions with my children because I'm the grown up and I know what's best. Will I always make the right decision? Of course not. There are times when maybe I should have said yes, but I said no. And sometimes you can go back and you can say, you know, now that I thought about it, I did watch that show and I realized it's okay, so you can watch it. Occasionally you can do that, but most of the time our instincts are spot on. And just because your child protested doesn't mean that it wasn't the right decision. Okay, so you're giving your child permission to say to his friends, yeah, my mom's really mean, so that's why I can't play that game. My dad said no. Yeah, I know, he's just not with the times, but he said no, and I can't play it. Well, why don't you play it on my phone? They'll never know. Hopefully, we have been firm enough, we have shown our children, giving them the tools to resist that kind of peer pressure. Am I thinking that my kids never make that mistake and never do things I didn't tell them? Of course not. I catch them all the time. But I try to go back with them and say, you can throw me under the bus. I even tell them that. You know, go ahead. Tell them what a mean mom you have that you can't do this. That's okay. Because the thing is that I know a lot of these kids and they know me. And they know I love my children. And they know that my child is going to get in trouble if he disobeys. So most of the time, they're going to help him to obey. They're going to help her to obey. So how do you respond to the question when your child says everyone else is doing it? How do you as a parent respond to that peer pressure? There have been times when literally everyone was doing one thing and we were not. It's going to happen. You just have to keep with that short and sweet script and realize those are not my children. My children are my children. The neighbor's kids are not mine. Their friends are not mine. There's going to be differences. And kids are not confused about this. They realize that different households have different rules. And I expect when they have friends over, I remind them, you need to tell your friends the rules of our household. It's your job to inform them about our rules, just like I expect them to obey the rules when they go to someone else's house. Of course, I have a few extra rules that I expect them to obey too, like don't get on electronics without my permission and things like that. But a few things like that. Be polite, please and thank you. Please do not, take anything from someone's house without asking the parent for permission, those kind of things. But on the whole, I'm like, yeah, if, like when they go to my mom's house, their grandparents' house, I don't get bent out of shape if they have ice cream 3 times a day. It's okay. That's my mom's the one who's going to pay the price for their hyperactivity, especially when they're younger. So if she feels she can do that, great. So to recap, we're going to make decisions for our children that they're not going to agree with. They're not going to like it. They're not going to agree with it. And that's okay. We're the grown-up. We have to make those hard decisions. So it isn't our job as parents to make our kids happy and to make them agree with every decision we make. It's our job is to train them up in the way they should go, keep them safe, and to love them. Focus on those 3 things and we'll weather whatever storms that come around. Thank you for joining me for this week's video blog on Some Assembly Required. I hope you'll join in next week. Thank you.